So in today's video, we're going to look at multiple regression. We're going to look at how a series of different variables may predict a, our criterion validity or variable, and how that may help us to understand what's going on. So we know that in general, pregnancy risk is associated with sexual TV content. The problem is that when we control for age, there may be one of two different things going on here. It might be that it really doesn't matter what's happening. That 16-year-olds who watch a lot are much more likely to become pregnant, and also 20-year-olds. Or it could be that in general, 16-year-olds tend to watch less sexual TV content and are less likely to become pregnant than 20-year-olds. Okay? And this is really what multiple regression is trying to get at. Is there something else? So criterion variables are our dependent variable, the variable that we want to predict. The predictor variables are our independent variables, in this case, exposure to sex on TV and age, those that we do want, that we want to help us to understand the criterion variable. Now, with what we're doing here is we're looking to see, we're using beta instead of R, and it's not quite the same as with R for correlations. But again, we're going to be looking at these confidence intervals. And if that confidence interval includes 0, then it's not going to be significant. If it doesn't include it, then it will be significant. So look at these two variables and think about which of these is statistically significant. And in this case, both of them are statistically significant. They both play a role. And you'll see a number of different ways that this is indicated in a journal article, often with an asterisk, though. So when we're looking at predicting, we're often looking at confidence interval size. So if we have a large confidence interval, it's harder to conclude that something is it's harder to conclude that there's a significant difference than if there is a small confidence interval like this, right? Now, sample size makes a difference, and precision of your variables makes a difference. So we're going to try for a reasonably large sample size in order to get as precise a measure as possible. And we're going to try and do everything as carefully as possible so we remove some of the other variables that might influence what's going on. So here's an article looking at the relationship between cat ownership and psychotic experiences in adulthood. And the authors conclude that growing up in the same household as a pet cat enhances the risk of experiencing a psychotic episode later in life, but only for men. So one of the things that we may remember is that this suggests that there's some moderation. We'll talk about that later. Now, we believe that it's due to, at this point, we think that there's something about toxoplasmosis gondii. But we don't really understand what's going on. Cat ownership can may not enhance the risk of psychosis. Alone, there may be other variables that are involved, things like head trauma or frequent moving or owning a rodent hunting cat. So if you have an indoor cat versus an outdoor. At this point, they don't really understand what's going on. So think about what kind of claim this is. And how do you know? Is this a correlation or a multiple regression? So in this first paragraph, we are really talking more about correlation, right? That there's this link here. But down here in this third paragraph, we're saying there may be other things that are going on here. And part of what you should be thinking, because we're going to talk about this more in the next video, is did the authors describe this research well? And what should they have done differently if they didn't? And take care. I'll see you in the next video.